The story of Xero Bloodline and his Nevan. Xero Bloodline always wanted a working replica of Dante's guitar, the Nevan. Xero finds a man that will make him a functioning guitar that looks like the Nevan, but wants a favor done for him first. Of course he agrees to the small favor, which turned out to be to deliver a package to his friend across the border. Now, Xero was curious to what it was, but didn't ask and took the package to Mexico. But upon reaching the border, the police took the package and searched it, in which they found a powerful bomb, and Xero was arrested and taken to the Texas State Prison for smuggling explosives across the border. In this prison, Xero learns stuff like how to make a knife out of a bed spring and how to kill a man with a string of dental floss, and in 5 years, he's released on probation. And so Xero returns to the man that said he'd make him a Nevan, and told him his story of failure, and of course after this, the man attempted to shoot Xero. But luckily, Xero broke out his kung fu action and shot him in the leg. But of course after this, Xero was thrown right back in jail for assault, and spent 10 more years in prison and killed a mobster for stealing the peanut butter he had a guard smuggling for him. And after that, Xero is eventually released from prison and searches the world for a man to make the Nevan for him. Xero, in China, hears of a man that can make him such a guitar, and this man is a punk rock monk that lives atop a very tall mountain. And so Xero journeys to this mountain and begins climbing it, and almost immediately is double-teamed by a scorpion and a squirrel. Of course Xero wins, but not without losing his left pinky finger. And so, pissed off, Xero carelessly goes up the mountain, and is attacked by 4 ninjas, all wearing black netting, a black cloak, and a black face mask, except one had a navy blue face mask, cause when he went to Walmart to buy his ninja mask, his friends got the last of the black ones, and he was pissed, so he fought hardest against Xero. But all to no avail, as Xero was much more pissed than any of the ninjas, so then after 3 hours of traveling up the mountain, Xero stops to take a rest, but is attacked by a panda with a red spot on its forehead, and the damn thing starts mauling the hell out of him. But Xero kicks it off somehow and it rolls down a hill. Even more pissed off than he had ever been before, even more pissed than when that damn mobster took his peanut butter, Xero wrapped his wounds, and traveled up. Xero eventually was accompanied by a wood sprite named Renegade, and they became best friends. After they traveled far enough, Xero helped Renegade reclaim his land from a large house cat, and they said their goodbyes, and Xero kept on going. After 3 days of travel, Xero became weary of climbing this mountain, and it had gone so far up as to it was rather snowy. The snow didn't bother Xero as much as the constant Yeti maulings, those are what got to him. But luckily he came across an old scientist in a cave that said he could reach the top of the mountain by using a nuclear-powered elevator he built. And normally Xero wouldn't like the sound of that, but after climbing a mountain for 3 days and having a constant fear of the Yeti mauling, anything sounded better than more climbing, so he got in, and he pressed the roof button. But had Xero been paying attention to the scientist, he would have known that he was supposed to hit 4, and roof would take him to the planet of the Western Chicken. But it was too late. Xero had already pressed the button, and the elevator moved 4 quadrillion miles per hour, and was rocketed to the planet of the Western Chicken. Xero had moved so fast that he shrunk 6 inches, and with the missing finger and the uncountable amount of maulings and ninja attacks, this was the last thing Xero needed, so Xero was really friggin' pissed. But he decided to check out the planet, and as the name implied, it was just like the old Western movies, except with space chickens. But Xero checked things out nonetheless, and he found himself at the mercy of the corrupt chicken sheriff, Sheriff McCluck, and just like in any Western movie, Xero, being the new guy in town, was targeted for the cruelties of the corrupt sheriff, Sheriff McCluck. So Xero got a pistol and a horse, and eventually got a shotgun, like the one used by Lucas McCain, from that old show, The Rifleman, and Xero went around shooting bad bank robbing roosters and stuff like that, all the while the corrupt Sheriff McCluck watching over him. Eventually, after 2 years, Sheriff McClock calls Zero out, and they get into a very long western-style stare-down, with that one song playing in the background. You know the one. Then a tumbleweed rolls by, and all the chicks and hens run inside, and then, after 5 more minutes of stare-down, Zero and Sheriff McClock draw, and Zero fires first, winning. Lucky for Sheriff McClock, Zero only shot him in the leg, giving him another chance at life, and so, Sheriff McClock repents for his evil ways and becomes a kind and honest sheriff, and Zero fixes the elevator and goes back to Earth, and after hitting the 4 button, Zero is brought to the punk rock monk's shrine, only to find that he had died a year ago, and boy, was Zero mad. But luckily Zero finds in the monk's closet his last work of art, which was a life-sized functioning replica of the Nevan, and it was just a guitar, no electric bass, no crazy stuff like that, no nothing, and Zero was happier that the monk's apprentice gave it to him for free, since Zero helped his best friend, the wood sprite, renegade out 2 years ago. But anyways, Zero ventures down the mountain playing his Nevan. Zero couldn't be happier, and after 3 days, he was almost at the bottom, when all of a sudden, this big-ass panda with a red spot on its forehead knocks Zero down the same hill he knocked him down 2 years ago. Talk about irony. And Zero breaks his neck at the end of the fall. Zero's death only took 15 seconds, but the pain felt like 15 years to him. Oh well, at least Zero had his Nevan, but what pissed Zero off was that since Zero killed that monster in prison, he went to hell, and the Nevan was good. All it did was bring happiness, so while Zero spends the rest of eternity playing cards with Hitler, he sits knowing that some douche like Carrot Top is playing with his Nevan and using it for prop comedy in heaven. The end.